Something just happened that could quietly impact millions of retirees. Curious, and almost nobody is explaining it the right way. In fact, most people are either ignoring it, size, or completely misunderstanding what it actually means. And if you're over 50, this is something you cannot afford to get wrong. Here at Seniors Authority, we don't do hype, but we also don't ignore signals that could affect your money. So let's talk about what's really going on. Because for years, people believed something simple. Work hard, save consistently, follow the rules. And when you finally retire, those rules will still be there. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Exhales sharply. That's not always how it works. Governments change policies, tax laws shift, retirement rules evolve. And when that happens after you've already planned your life around them, that's where things get dangerous. Now imagine someone like Floyd. Floyd did everything right. He worked for over 3 decades, saved carefully, avoided unnecessary risks. He didn't guess his way into retirement, he planned it. Every decision he made was based on the rules at the time. Where to live, how much to withdraw, when to retire. It was all calculated. But here's where it gets serious. What happens if those rules change after Floyd retires? Not before. Not while he's still working. But after he's already locked into his plan. Because at that point, he can't go back. He can't restart his career. He can't suddenly double his income. He can't undo the decisions he already made. And this is the part most people don't think about. Even a small change can hit hard. A 3%, 5% tax increase on retirement income might not sound like much. But for someone living on $60,000 a year, that's $1,800 to $3,000 gone every single year. On a fixed income, that's not adjustment money. That's groceries. That's medication. That's real life. Now here's where things start to shift. Courts are beginning to pay more attention to something called reliance. And this is important because it changes how situations like Floyd's are viewed. Reliance simply means this. If you made major life decisions based on existing rules, that matters. Your planning matters. Your trust in the system matters. And if a sudden change causes real financial harm, that's no longer something that can be brushed aside so easily. But wait, here's where most people get it wrong. This does not mean your retirement is fully protected. It does not mean the government can't change taxes. And it definitely does not mean you're automatically safe. What it means is more subtle, but still powerful. It means the balance is shifting. Before, if rules changed, you were on your own. Now, there's a growing expectation that those changes need stronger justification, especially when they impact people who already made long-term decisions. And that's a big difference, because retirement isn't like your working years. You don't have time to recover from mistakes. You don't have decades to rebuild, and that's why this matters more than people realize. Now let's take Floyd again. Let's say he spent his career in a high-tax state. He planned ahead and decided to retire somewhere more tax-friendly, maybe no state income tax. He sells his home, moves everything, starts a new life. Then, years later, policies start shifting. Slowly, quietly, maybe not all at once, but enough to impact his income. Now here's the key question. Did Floyd rely on those original rules? Of course he did, and that's exactly the kind of situation courts are starting to look at more closely. Not always in his favor, but not ignoring him either. And that alone changes the game. But here's the part almost no one is talking about. The biggest risk isn't that rules change. The biggest risk is assuming they won't. Let that sink in. Because most retirees don't lose stability overnight. They lose it because they built their plan on one assumption, that things will stay the same. And when they don't, there's no backup, no flexibility, no margin. And that's when small changes turn into big problems. So, what can you actually do about it? First, awareness. Not fear, not panic. Just awareness. Know what's happening in your state, because changes don't appear out of nowhere. There are always signs first. Second, documentation. This is something most people ignore, but it matters. Keep records, tax policies, retirement statements, official documents, because those aren't just papers. They show the environment you planned under. And in situations where reliance matters, that can make a real difference. Third, flexibility, even in retirement, because while you can't control policy changes, you can reduce how exposed you are to them. Now, here's something I want you to really think about. If the rules changed tomorrow, would your plan survive? Most people never ask that question, but the ones who do are the ones who don't get caught off guard, and that's the difference between reacting and being prepared. At Seniors Authority, we're not here to scare you. We're here to make sure you're not the person who gets blindsided. Because retirement isn't just about numbers. It's about security, peace of mind, the ability to live your life without constantly worrying about what might change next. And that doesn't come from blind trust. It comes from understanding, from staying informed, from thinking one step ahead. So the next time someone tells you, "Don't worry, your retirement is safe," take a second look. Because safety isn't a guarantee. It's something you build, and the people who understand that are always the ones who stay in control. If you're over 50, planning retirement, or already living on a fixed income, this is exactly the kind of information you need to stay ahead. Make sure you're subscribed to Seniors Authority, because the more you understand today, the more secure your tomorrow becomes. And in retirement, that security is everything.